All right. Apologies if you can hear vacuums in the background. I'm trying to make a video. I've got literally the weirdest, loudest backdrop ever, but I'm showing Flying Fortress off here because if you didn't understand on the last video, I met Eric Weathers in person and Leroy, so that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I had thought about this concept about the basically lost generation to comics. I think that Marvel and DC are struggling so much because they feel like somewhere along the line they failed to capture the next younger generation of readers. And so what they're trying to do to make up for that is that's why you have all the YA books that are coming out, and they're trying to appeal to that generation through politics, or maybe that's just an excuse for them to make it about politics. I'm not sure, but that seems to happen. So, at what point did they fail to get new readers into comics? I started thinking about, I was a kid. I was born in the 80s. I was a kid in the 90s, when I could have been reading comic books. I didn't, though. I wasn't reading comics in the 90s. There were, however, really great sales in the 90s for comics. So, was that really the problem era? Were they just selling comics to everybody else but kids? I know a lot of people that were reading books in the 90s, though, so maybe not. So if it wasn't the 90s, it certainly wasn't the 80s. Was it the early 2000s then? And I think that is probably somewhere along the line when things went poorly. However, so I think about the comics during that time, during the early 2000s, the early aughts. Was that a problem? Like, was that when problems began as far as good storytelling or bad storytelling? I don't think so either. Maybe there were a few problems where things started to go downhill. But I think really the problems that they ran into weren't bad storytelling per se. It was actually the weird practices that they started, which was crazy multiple variant covers, and it was events, endless and endless events. What they did is essentially complicate their line. That's what it came down to. So when I think about it that way, how easy would it be for a kid to get into comics during that time? Probably not very easy. It probably was about that time. So are you going to blame it on Joe Quesada? I don't know. Maybe you could. Maybe that's when things changed and it went wrong. Having said that, at the same time, at least during the 2000s, early 2000s, they were still maintaining their current readership base with books that they liked. There's still a lot of great books from that era, in my opinion. I think there was some great storytelling. But now, is it possible to go back and fix the past? Is it possible for Marvel and DC to figure out how to recapture those readers? I don't think so. I think it's too late. I think that ship has sailed. Part of the reason I say that is because right now the efforts that they're putting into it seem to be so off the mark. And at the same time, you're able to get video games. Video games are getting new readers all the time. They don't seem to have a problem recapturing readers, recapturing an audience, getting new audience. I want to call them readers, but they're not readers. They're just players. That's player base, right? Video games don't have that problem, and they actually have a lot to offer. So what is there for comics? Like, how do you get new readers for the future? What do you do now so that in 10 or 20 years you have another generation of readers that are continuing to contribute to the hobby and to the medium? I don't know. Honestly, I think the best that Marvel and DC could do right now is to actually cater to the existing market out there, the existing audience out there. And what you have to do is hope that they're going to get their own kids into comic books. They're going to be the ones that spread the word. And then I guess maybe that puts a little bit of the onus off of Marvel and DC in order to get fresh readers to continue it generations down the line. Anyway, so just a few thoughts from me while I'm a little bit in disarray here, and I got Eric to sign this for me as well. Where'd he go? Boom. Signed. Pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate you. Don't forget, Downcast number 3 is launching on Indiegogo on June 1st. And when we launch, there's going to be something special for everybody that backs the campaign within the first 24 hours. I'm going to be watching that like a hawk. I want you to get a special perk if you're doing it, if you're supporting us early. And Fatal is still on Indiegogo as well. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.